New York is an amazing city to visit. One of the most iconic places to visit in New York is Times Square. Times Square in Manhattan is a major commercial intersection and a tourist hotspot when visiting New York. You'll expect to see busy crowds, huge electronic billboards, and it's a great place to soak in the wonderful New York atmosphere. Unfortunately, as with many tourist hotspots in the world, there are a number of hustles and scams which you could fall victim to. In today's video, I'm going to tell you the 5 main scams in Times Square which you need to keep an eye out for when you're visiting Times Square. Let's begin the video. So the first thing to keep an eye out for is the Times Square mascots. You'll notice people dressed up as Spider-Man, Minnie Mouse, and all kinds of costumes when walking around. They want you to have a photo taken with them, and sometimes they can be quite forceful. They will often try and step in and pose in your photo or pressure you constantly to have a photo taken with you, and sometimes they won't back down. If you know you have to pay them, then it's fine to take a photo with them, but expect to make the agreement of how much you pay beforehand. It'll often be about $5 to $10, but sometimes many of them will jump into a photo, sometimes without consent, and each mascot will try and demand payment from you. Hopefully with this video you should know what they're like, so you don't need to worry. Just remember to agree the price beforehand and refuse to pay any additional mascots that try and get in the photo with you. Or you can ignore them altogether and eventually they'll move on to the next target. The second scam that you need to look out for is the up-and-coming rapper. I noticed a group of guys standing together, and when I passed them they tried to give me a CD and actually put it in my hand. They claim to be rappers, and if you take a CD from them, they will pester you quite forcefully to paying them money to help support their rap career. They can surround you and pressure you, and they often target foreigners who don't speak much English, and they try and take as much money as they can. They will often not leave you alone, and they will follow you if you don't give them money. They can be quite intimidating. Don't take a CD from them and don't listen to them. Their goal is to extract as much money as they can. I saw quite a few tourists being scammed by these rappers, and in the end they would give them around $20 so they would leave them alone. Just walk past them, ignore them, and don't take any CD that they try and put in your hand. I've even heard stories that sometimes the CDs are blank and they don't even have any music on them. The third scam to look out for are the monks which you see walking around. So you'll see these monks strolling the street. They're dressed quite distinctively in orange robes, and they'll try and hand you a kind of beaded bracelet or a small gift. They say the gift is to cleanse your soul, and once you take it they will pester you to give them money as a donation. They can be very persistent and often they won't leave you alone. I saw people giving them a bunch of dollars to get them to leave them alone, so if you see them and they try and give you something, just ignore them and don't accept any gift. The fourth scam that you need to keep an eye out for is a bit of a controversial one, because we're going to talk about those famous street performers which perform in Times Square. They do all kinds of performances like breakdancing, jumping over children and lines of adults, and they can be quite entertaining and it's cool to watch. The problem with the street performers is that they very heavily press for donations.
No, we almost forgot some people. The victims. No, the victims, these guys. Yo, Ray. Now, you guys listen up. Everybody donated except you guys. Now, he's going to put over how much you love your life. Now, 20 can save you, 50 to 100 you can leave and never come back. Now, I don't know what's important, but we're going to start with...
I'm more than happy to donate to them to help support them, but I noticed they would ask a group of people to stand in the middle of a circle so they could jump over them as part of their act. One by one they would go to each person and ask for a $20 minimum donation. They would even ask for $50 to $100 so that they're in a safer position in the line when they're jumping over them. They would ask who their wife is in the crowd and ask her to make a donation too. The main reason I'm including this in the list is because a lot of people who they asked to line up didn't know that they had to donate and were suddenly pressured in front of a crowd of people to donate. Some of them did and some of them didn't, and the ones who didn't, they would try and make fun out of them.
$20 every week. $1. $1? I don't think he got no $1. He don't got $1. What's up? I ain't ready to pay you, y'all.
It's all part of the act, and I'm happy to donate an amount I wish to, but bear in mind if they pick you out from the crowd, they're expecting a donation from you before they finish their act. The next scam you need to know about is the free comedy club. I actually didn't get any footage of this, so I'm going to animate exactly what happened with this type of scam. I was standing with my wife and we were on the phone checking directions. A man approached us and asked if we like comedy. He seemed very shady, like he was up to something, the way he kept checking who was around while talking to us. We spoke to him briefly and he said he wanted to let us know about this cool comedy club where lots of famous comedians performed before they got famous. He had a printout of pictures of the club and he said he's an official ticket seller. He showed me a badge and to be honest, it looked like the badge was made on Microsoft Paint. It literally just said ticket seller with his picture. He first said the entrance is free to the club, but we have to buy 2 drinks minimum while we're there. I found out later that each drink costs $20. Despite saying the entrance is free, he still tried selling us tickets for $30 each, and when I declined, he said he'll give it us as a buy one get one free deal. I asked him where the club is and he pointed down the road. I naturally looked in the direction that he pointed and I must have shuffled my hands in my pockets while I was looking, and he said, "Don't worry about what's in your pocket, I'm not going to steal anything from you." He then said maybe he would have tried to steal from me a few years ago, but he's changed his ways. It was such an odd thing to say, and I asked if I could take a photo of the printout which had the address of the comedy club, and he refused to let me take a picture of it. The whole thing seems so shady, and I've heard of these scams where it's free entry, but the comedy is boring and you have to pay for these expensive drinks. This guy was doing the same, but also trying to make some quick money selling us tickets to the venue too. So this is my list of 5 scams you need to look out for in Times Square. If you've been subject to any of these scams, leave a comment below and let us know what happened in the comments below to help spread awareness. If you know of any more which I have left out, also let us know in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching.